All right, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong. This is In the Image Clothing Company, okay? In other words, I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is our main side. We have 4 sides to us, okay? And this side here is where we address the anatomy of the human body. We keyword allow the human body to work. I use the phrase, we're just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space, aka the human being placed onto Earth. There's a center line, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, our jaw. Naturally, the jaw stabilizes the entire body. Yikes. I haven't made a video for the main side of In the Image Clothing Company in a few days, but yeah, okay, so clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, ideally be made from 100% natural materials because the human body is. And that's how we can just let our bodies be unaltered, okay? We're designed in the image of God by Jesus Christ himself. That's where our company name comes from. And yikes, noise. I'm gonna really get into this. This video will be really informative, okay? So bear with the authenticity, if you would, which is a great thing to have. We're just raw, real, In the Image Clothing Company, okay? All 4 sides, we're not trying to be something we're not. We're not trying to make it extra professional. Wind noise, airplanes, sports, whatever happens, okay? Yes, so, clothing for everybody, because the human body is just a mechanical machine. It can't be restricted, it can't be limited, it can't be inhibited, or else it just will be, and it won't work correct. We talk about getting out of these chronic patternings and out of this deeply ingrained scar tissue. And we talk about just letting the body do the only thing it ever could. I say the phrase, there's only one way the human body could ever work, and it's the truth. For a man or a woman, if you're tall or short, skinny or fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, every joint just has a neutral, and from there it has its directions and its rotations and its motion. But we have to reside and rely on and in our neutral positions, okay? When clothing's placed on us, that sometimes just isn't the case because we have to try to work around it if it's placed onto our bodies and not the only way the human body could ever work. So, for literally everybody, pants need to be entirely above the hips, okay? Slightly higher in the front than the rear. Then there's no restriction to the pelvis, and our core muscles can stay activated, okay? The body could only ever and always would just work activated as a whole. Anywhere any of it goes, the rest of it comes. It can't just have part of it working. You can't ever train the body. Now what you've done is just trained imbalances, and the rest of the body is different. Yeah. The body's just what it is, okay? And we talk about it, we discuss it, we've got hundreds of videos. I know the human body anatomy in depth. What I'm saying though is, secondly to our pants, the tops that we wear, there's seams on top of our shoulders, and they need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders, and that's how we keep our shoulders in their only working position, which is behind our head. Aeroplanes, holy. Good stuff, seriously. Come hang out, okay? The edge seams of our shoulders should just be right at the functionality of the joint. It's a ball and socket joint, and it just can't be restricted, okay? So, 2 things we call prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company. Conditional, there's not always ropes in our shoes. We call ropes in our shoes shoelaces. And there's only one way to weave a rope across the top of the human foot without altering the feet. And the mechanics that go into that then travel up to the tip of our head and the tips of our fingers. So, In the Image Clothing Company's shoelacing technique, found wherever you find us. 5-word name as a whole, In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, with that, we tie our shoes evenly over toward the center line of the human being because there is one and has to be. Okay, secondly, all tags must be removed from clothing. If they're anywhere within clothing, they're damaging the body. Okay, it's causing a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate. Then you've got compensation trying to happen. Something that can only ever be one can't compensate with part of it. It just doesn't work. Okay, so I'll talk about the other 3 sides of our company really quick, and then we'll get into this video. Yeah, this video is about snug fitting clothing equals a loose body. Okay, we'll talk about it because that's the case. So In the Image Clothing Company podcast is another 4th of our company, where I get into deep, blunt, bold, raw, real discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, and it's awesome. We're all human beings, sons and daughters of God, placed onto the same earth. I just discuss it as it is, okay? Sinful by nature is how we are, so imperfect, all right? In the Image Clothing Company music, another 4th of us, I show how to size and set up guitars to not alter our bodies. Our hands are essentially the shoulders, as the feet are essentially the hips. So yeah, no alteration from what we play, otherwise damage, okay? I make music placed on In the Image Clothing Company music as well, okay? One other 4th of us is In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. We specialize in standard poodles. We have our purebred standard poodle puppy, proper registered AKC, American Kennel Club dogs. And I really get into it. We do a lot more than just breeding dogs, but we let dogs stay natural. Unnatural floorings, dehydrated food, unnatural materials and dog toys and accessories, things placed onto the dogs. And then weight-wise imbalances, size-wise imbalances, collars, leashes, harnesses. Yikes, okay? The dogs need to be unaltered because they're just an animal. And we also just advocate, though, for things like proper breeding, good ownership of dogs, accountability for dog owners, feeding, how to, right? Debunk a lot of myths. We do a lot under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, okay? So, yeah. Now, let's get into this, because snug fitting clothing equals a loose body. Let me get something out of the way before we have any kind of discussion on what it means to have a loose body. Muscles only contract. That's a video here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Muscles never can do anything by getting longer, other than just relaxing for another muscle to do its job, okay? So, muscles can only ever shorten. That's why we can never have stretch in our clothing. It goes the opposite direction of the only way muscles could ever work. Now, here's a key point, okay? Clothing just has to fit snug. This is something I haven't really talked about. I talk about where clothing has to fit, and you know, as I say, really our intros are what we are under In the Image Clothing Company. We show slight little modifications and they help big time. But where clothing fits is the point of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? Our intros, when it comes to keyword allowing the human body to work. So, if you do all that you can to do what we say in our intros, then your clothing is going to be fitting you snug. But, let me talk about it. Muscles only contract. You've got muscles like this, the upper trapezius, the mid trapezius, the lower trapezius, connecting from the shoulder, okay, the scapula, these bones out here, and then into the spine, to the center of the body, okay? Internal, towards the inside, if you will, of the human being. Internal rotation, external rotation. If our body is farther away from itself than it would just naturally rest, okay, then muscles are being pulled on, and muscles can only ever contract. Muscles can only ever get shorter to work, ever. Always, any and all muscles in the human being, that's the case. So, unless there's a muscle that does something very unique that I'm not aware of, okay? But if our clothing isn't snug, then our muscles are going to be pulled away from their only center line, their only insertion, okay? Like these upper trapezius, I talk about them so often. The dreaded collar seam under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, right? I talk about how that's so huge, and our dreaded collar seam modification under In The Image Clothing Company. I talk about a tag in the rear of the collars of shirts that are so commonly there at this time period. Those things are on the upper trapezius muscles, okay? These muscles here. They connect to the base of the rear of the skull, along the cervical spine, which just means the spine that's the neck, and then along the top / rear of the shoulder here, okay? Only ever working behind our head, okay? Our shoulders, that is. That's the only location they could ever work in. Now, if you have clothing that's just not snug, your muscles are just being elongated, pulled on, and now your body is tight because it stiffens up to protect itself, okay? If you have the ability to just use your muscles and they can contract and then they can relax, right? And your body can just work, then your body is going to be able to be loose. But if your muscles are pulled on, that doesn't mean they're loose. That means they're going to stiffen up to protect themselves. Because as we talk about with range of motion within muscles, like the elbow joint, full extension, all the way straight, to full contraction, all the way bent, okay? That's our range of motion. And if your muscles are able to be within some range of motion, now they have the ability to work, okay? Like the upper trapezius muscles here, from the shoulders to the base of the rear of the skull, the neutral position for those is about halfway, give or take, between if they were all the way elongated, meaning stretched out, or all the way contracted, meaning shortened, okay? So having your clothing fit snug, like that video we have under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company titled, "Tops are like a cage for the shoulders," okay? We want our tops to just be like kind of locked in at the edges of our shoulders, so they're not pulling one way and stretching these muscles out on this side, or pulling the other way and now stretching these muscles out on this side, because muscles only contract, okay? And I didn't know. I, for many years, wore oversized clothing and my body was in pain all the time. I was trying to, check this out, stretch from a position where my muscles were already chronically, just meaning constantly, basically, right? Until changed, until fixed, pulled on. And from there, they're tight and they're stiff because they're not in their range of motion to work. They're at one of the extremities or one of the ends of their range of motion, okay? And when they're all the way to one end or just about of their full range of motion, then they'll just stiffen up to protect. Some people call it protective tension, okay? So to get a loose body, we want our muscles to be activated. The only way muscles can activate is if they shorten, okay? So don't stretch your body. We talk about so often under In The Image Clothing Company how stretching is a myth because of what I'm saying here. You're opposing the only way that your muscles could ever work when you're stretching them. And there's just a lot of misconceptions. The body only works as a whole. It starts at the feet and then through the entirety of it. I say, right, to the tip of the head, to the tips of the fingers, it's all either working as one or it's not working at all. You can't drag around dead weight and have the rest of your body just operate normal. So, clothing has to fit snug. Otherwise, you have a stiff body. And this is something I didn't understand, because I always thought, if I've got this big oversized shirt on, then my body's all loose and flowy. No, your muscles are being pulled on and they're stiffening to stay safe. But if you keep your body in its neutrals, okay, the only way the body could ever work is residing in its neutrals. Nothing that you could ever train, because God designed it, we can't decide it, right? In the Image Clothing Company podcast, there's an episode, we didn't design it, we can't decide it. It's just, as I say, and as I said, a machine. It just has pivots, rotations, levers, hinges, operations. It's just a machine. Literally. Just obeying the laws of gravity. That's all it is. So, like, actually, like, no joke. And what I mean by that is, it just needs to be able to have whatever's placed on it fit against it well. Okay? So the seam of the edge of our shoulder here can just have its seam be right where the shoulder is going to move. Okay? When you move your arm across your body, it should move right at the seam here of the edge of our shoulder. Yeah. And then anywhere within the body. But a big thing is socks. If our socks don't fit snug, remember what I said? Not because I said it, don't believe me. Truly, please don't believe me. But this is the case. Muscles only contract. Our feet arches grip inward, okay? The neutral foot is straight out from the pinky toe, as the neutral hand is straight out from the pinky finger, okay? The neutral wrist and the neutral ankle, okay? Pinkies are neutral. That's why when I do this and I rotate my shoulders with my arms sticking out horizontal, my arms rotate from my pinkies. And I point my pinkies straight out because no other finger would allow me to rotate. I'd get binding all over the place within my body, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. Every human being to ever live. Man, woman, any, whatever, and whatever. Literally, it's a mechanical machine, skeletal system-wise, okay? And that's what we focus on, because there's no need for muscles if there wasn't first a skeletal system for them to move, okay? So, yes, we know what we're talking about here. So don't believe us, but it's truth. This is the whole thing about socks being snug. Our arches of our feet grip inward. A working hand, so you can see, because you're not looking at my feet right now, just because the camera's not pointed at them. A hand works in line. All the fingers gripping closed in line. If you have a glove on, like a sock for the foot, it needs to fit snug, okay? If you have a glove on, like a sock for the foot, that's much too large, now your hands can't close when the fingers are spread apart. You feel cramping and pain all throughout the fingers here and into the bones of the hand, up the forearm. That's happening in our feet, okay? If our feet are in socks that are just too wide and our toes are spreading. If our feet are in shoes that are too wide and our toes are spreading. The toes only ever work in line, like the human hand, okay? So, right, muscles only contract. There's muscles that pull your fingers together. And now from here, there's muscles that bend your fingers when they are in line, okay? That's how the feet work as well. The hands and the feet are just about exactly the same. There's only one difference in the amount of bones in each one. The operations are so similar. Some of that I discussed already within this, with the neutrals and their location. So, yeah, straight out from the pinkies of both the feet and the hands, okay? Pinky toes point straight forward. Pinky fingers just come straight out from the forearm on the outside. and now your body's in its neutrals, okay? But it has to stem at the feet because that's the lowest point on Earth's gravity. Something we didn't decide, so we can't design. Also something we didn't design, so we can't decide. Our socks need to be snug, but not restricting our feet. And no stretch, because that's just really going to alter things, okay? There's nothing stretchy in nature. It's man-made. It's only decades old as of today's date, the 9th of May, 2025. So, ideally 100% natural materials, not an opinion. There's only one way the human body could ever work, okay? Our socks need to be snug, okay? Our shoes need to be snug. Feet grip inward. You put your feet within shoes and there's play in the shoes, your whole foundation now has become sandy rather than a rock, okay? Biblical, no joke. We need to grip our feet to the ground. Then you're just locked in. You notice I haven't moved my feet once throughout this entire video? If you haven't noticed, you can go back and check. There's no need to shift weight when there's a center line. You can't shift out of it without deactivating one side of your body and activating the other to a higher degree than it ever would need to be. So there's a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here titled Shifting Weight Deactivates Muscles. Okay, it does. People will tell you otherwise. They are wrong. Don't believe me, but it's the truth. Okay, we discuss it so thorough. There's just the need to be understanding of what's happening. That's why we have In The Image Clothing Company. Okay, we speak truth. And sometimes I'm wrong. Yikes. Okay, so here's the body. Neutral, because clothing is snug. Okay, if the clothing wasn't snug, I couldn't even get to my neutrals because I'd have binding and cramping and things not working. There's only a neutral. And if the body is having something placed onto it that has play in it, right? Shoulders, seams, slipping back and forth, pulling your muscles on one side away from the center and then the other side away from the center. Shoes, and your feet are slipping around in the shoes and your toes are spreading apart when muscles only ever contract and our arches grip together and inward, okay? Then our body will stiffen up. So, pant waistlines, our drawstrings, or whatever it is you put around your waist, but I do love drawstrings. Look up how drawstrings affect body mechanics under In The Image Clothing Company's main side here. The slipped lap knot, L-A-P-P. Drawstrings will just twist the hips with a knot as shoelaces could for the entire body, okay? A slipped lap knot is a knot that allows the hips to just stay entirely horizontal. That's what we show under In The Image Clothing Company for our drawstring knots. Now, the big thing that we need to focus on is keeping our drawstrings tight, or anything, like I said, that you're holding your pants up with. But they need to be above the hips, as we talk about in all the intros, unless we forget to say it. And so having them tight, no stretch, no give, right? Snug waistband, right? Then your muscles can work because they can contract. If you have play in your waistband, your muscles are going to relax out to meet the waistband. Your hips are going to excessively open like this, which actually closes them off, and that's a whole discussion in itself. But stiffening happens to try to hold your pants from falling off of you. So tight, snug, 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 snug. Snug's the word. Snug is the proper word. There's an aeroplane. Snug waistband, snug tops, snug socks, shoes, snug undergarments of whatever kind that could mean, okay? Snug clothing. Then the musculature can work. Otherwise, stabilizing muscles are just going into trying to keep your clothing in place, and your body can't even operate across the earth, okay? There's a video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company titled something like, people move through clothing, not through life, right? That's what I talked about within there. We want to move through life without our clothing getting in the way of things, okay? There's a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled Reaching the Right Arm Across the Body, and I got into it. So the human body, there's only one way it could ever work. We've got multiple hundreds of videos giving deep discussions on the actual and only fix to human beings' physical pain. It is your clothing. There's nothing else placed onto you physically, and we're talking about physical pain. And there's a poodle. I saw the dog before I started filming, and I love it, okay? In the Image Clothing Company poodles, right? So, yeah, just all black, beautiful. Just walking with a dude off leash, nice heel position, good dog, good dog, good dog. Good dog. I love it. Okay, so there you go. Okay, snug clothing equals a loose body. As far as I'm aware, that's how I titled it word for word. There you go. Okay, clothing needs to be snug. So many years, me, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, went wearing things that were just so big. Okay, oversized. I thought it was a fashion, or I thought it was cool. I thought it was comfortable. I thought I was part of this group, or whatever at the time. A lot of it was I just didn't even know. I had no idea what it meant for clothing to fit. Knowing your size, okay? A video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. Yeah, okay? So, yes, the human body, it can only ever work one way. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Same thing phrased two different ways. Beautiful, standard poodle. That dude might be pretty warm, or that girl. I don't know what gender the dog is yet, but it's all black. It's got decent length hair, and it's probably somewhere around 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit out here today. Okay, in Utah, the United States of America. So check out Poodle Parade events to come under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. Purebred poodles of any size and or poodle mixes of any size are the only dog breed ever allowed at poodle parades. A lot of reasons to it, but again, a lot of it's advocacy is what we really do under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. So stick around, hang out, check us out, InTheImageClothingCompany.com, where all four sides of the company go to. Okay, In The Image Clothing Company clothing, In The Image Clothing Company dog products to come as well. Both of those things when they do. Okay, same intent for human beings clothing as dog products. Minimal, light, brandless on the exterior. Okay, yeah, natural materials. Okay, snug fitting clothing. Changed my life. That's why we have In The Image Clothing Company, is because clothing changed my life. No joke. Okay, so events for the main site of In The Image Clothing Company as well. Everything will just be scheduled, laid out, presented, and shown, available to be purchased. You can get to everything, all this right from InTheImageClothingCompany.com. So thank you. Today's the 9th of May, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Keep your clothing fitting snug, and your body can then just work. I knocked a bug off just then. He had flown and landed on this pole, and it climbed up right next to the device here that I'm filming this with, and then fell off when I tipped it back. Thank you.